I don't know about the laning duos. Like Timbersaw Pugna isn't particularly amazing. Timbersaw Enigma probably is slightly better. At least you have Malefice to play with. I don't know how to feel about it. Doesn't feel like the most threatening of lanes. I guess if you do just play really aggressive on the Timbersaw by level 3 with one of these two supports, you could try to make a play happen. Otherwise, I worry that maybe the Dusa feels comfy enough to just keep farming there.
Or perhaps TNC Predator. Well, they'll go for the Tiny pickup now, and that could just be the mid-Tiny coming out as they go for the Venge as well. Something a little bit different coming out here, as we haven't seen Venge pop out very often. What do you think, John? I mean, this hero, do you think it's any good right now? Do you think it's bad? Is it just for the Enigma counter?
I really like Venge. It probably is more into just countering the Enigma, having the swap always on hand. At the same time, it just has really strong presence. It gives you a stable stun. The Ag shard is still one of the most busted shards in the game, I want to say. And that double stun on the missile is actually pretty devastating. And the Ag's timing, the build up for Venge, even on support, once you have that, it changes the game entirely. Because Venge has 2 lives, you can swap again right after dying, you can just get more stuns, get more Wave of Terrors off. It is a pretty damn good hero in the right hands. Just very stable, not very flashy. I'm keen to see what TNC does with it, whether or not this is just our pause 5 coming out for, say, Mavis, or if they'll run it for something like offlane for Bach, a possibility for both. You don't really know their safe lane matchup, and TNC is going to have to pick first, so the flexibility is not going to be held onto for too long. Execration for their part into the Lina. This does give them really good scaling now from the mid once more on Bob, so it looks like they're shifting their win condition once more towards that mid lane. Bob can be trying to scale up on the Lina, hit the BKB travels timings we tend to see, run around the map. Lane matchup against potentially the mid-Tiny is really good for the Lina. You know, you can hold on to that lane while you outrange a Tiny. He doesn't have any armor to start with. You can rip right through him by level 2 with just 1 level in the Fiery Soul. So I'm feeling good about Bob's lane. Lina's one of his specialties as well. I think Krish is going to have to work extra hard to keep that lane stable.
Well, final ban out to come here for Execration. Before we get to see how these drafts do finish off, I love the fact that every time we see a Medusa draft work out, the other team always ends up taking the Medusa themselves. So it feels like these teams never get sick of Medusa. But Jonathan, what is this? Silencer popping out now, so another Enigma counter. I guess it's a pretty good Silencer game.
It is. It counteracts the Lina, counteracts the Timbersaw. Even the Pugna doesn't feel great against that. So you have a great pickup for TNC. I'm wondering how they lane now. It's most definitely a safe lane Dusa. I guess the mid and the off lanes where the flex comes in. You could still keep the Tiny mid, Dawnbreaker Venge supports, off lane Silencer, or shift the Silencer into support. You can kind of switch around it. I think I do like the Silencer off lane with a Dawnbreaker. That sounds like a pretty aggressive lane. Of course, Execration still has room to pick up cores that don't particularly care. I mean, Lifestealer doesn't tend to go for Rage early on. Could be one option, though. Something like a Jug could be one way, but then you're picking Jug into Dusa. The scaling doesn't feel amazing for a Jug. You have to kind of play that fast. It feels like the ideal build is like Maelstrom Diffusal, and maybe an SNY and just keep running, get your Ag Shard, melt through the Dusa armor or Dusa Mana Shield, which can be tough. So keen to see how Execration responds. I like this draft from TNC. I think the Silencer to close out, as you mentioned, it's a great Silencer game.
It certainly is, John. Execration. Final pickup. This Silence is going to be a little bit confusing for them. See how they respond to this. I'm wondering as well what position you're putting the Silencer in, as they do go for a Bristleback to just say, screw it. We're just going to run right at you. Interesting pickup here by Execration. Certainly not willing to leave the amount of time that Yoen needs to make this Medusa work. And it is going to be a pos 5 Silencer of all things as well. So very, very interesting drafts coming out here for either side. Explain this one to me, John. What's happening?
You know, I'm not completely sure, but I know TNC, it feels like they come out with really strong lanes. I think we can maybe see Mavis and Carlo flex around. Silencer and Medusa lane can still be aggressive. You can still play around with Mystic Snake threat, double range up against a Timbersaw. It doesn't feel easy for Tino to just jump on top of someone with the Silencer around with a Curse, so it feels like a pretty stable lane. And then, of course, box lane with Carlo, it's just double stun. So Palos is going to have to watch himself very vulnerable in the first 2, maybe 3 levels if he's not careful. And that's where TNC is going to have to look to apply that pressure. For Execration, their win conditions definitely on Bob. You have some good scaling on Palos. He's very durable here. He can try to sustain in the middle of these fights, but you're bristleback into Silencer. So spamming out all your spells is going to be tough, especially as the game scales on, until you get a dispel mechanic. And I think this game looks tough for Execration from the draft. They have to play a very specific way to maximize the Timber Saw, and it just feels like TNC has the easier to execute draft here, just to find a win condition.
That they do, Jonathan. It should be a very interesting game number 3 to finish off this series. And John, do you have a preferred draft? I mean, they are very different drafts, so I feel like asking you which one you do prefer.
Yeah, I lean towards TNC. Again, as I mentioned, it looks easier to pull off. You've got relatively easy team fight. You've got a stable win condition and the Medusa. And the all chat's coming through. I'm trying to read. Mavis is saying they brought it out. And, it's like, you brought out the silencer. Censored. And then, yeah. Tick-faced, Tino says.
Yeah,
Full of yourself, the silencer. Okay. Carlos saying, list down who's going with Yoa later. I guess they're going out. I don't know.
Wow.
Freaking Carlos. Not inviting us.
Not inviting us. How rude of them, Jonathan. They are going to go for a 5-man smoke, and I don't think Execration's been invited to this either, John. So the all chat is still ongoing. Execration might get baited by all chatting here against TNC. Yoa continues the chat going as well. Very unexpected 5-man smoke, but Execration, they know the tricks. They do hug the T1 tower apart from one, and that's going to be Palos. Stun's going to fly in. Carlo going to be able to land the Starbreaker. Palos going to be the first blood here for TNC. And of all heroes to take it, John, it was the Medusa.
That's what you like to see from TNC. Just, jump the bristle back, get that early kill. We mentioned it in the draft, Mike, but this bristle is not going to feel the tankiest until level 3, I want to say, with 2 levels in the bristle back. If you manage to go for that, beyond that, like the aggressive double stun lanes just be painful. And there's not much Vincenzo can do to stop that on the Pugna. Pugna bristle back lane is kind of awkward. You can maybe slow stack with a goo and try to go for the Nether Blast. I think ideally here Vincenzo is going to be just going for Nether Ward, mitigating some damage, and trying to give Palos that lane. But the threat from Bach and Carlo is pretty damn big. Again, just magic missile into Starbreaker and you're dead.
For now, at least. I mean, Palos, he hasn't got the bristleback leveled up yet, so it is going to be a matter of trying to get as much damage out as humanly possible right now as Palos moving back in, but another magic missile is there. Palos going to be able to stick charge up, and Vincenzo, he's getting a lot of value out of this Nether Blast constantly being thrown out on 2. It's Palos. I heard a salve being committed. It was Carlo. Palos obviously doesn't really have a salve for himself, as Vincenzo does, but obviously you'd rather not use it on your POS 1 right now, as they do go for another Starbreaker stun combination. Vincenzo may have gone too far this time, but no, he is able to outrun them and salve himself up. So it seems like this top lane is going to be where all the aggression is happening, which does mean, John, we should have a look at the side lanes where we have a chance. Of course, mid lane, Krish and Bob going to be going at it. You already talked about this during the draft phase, but Krish is probably going to have a few issues here against the mid laner.
Yeah, you outrange, 0 armor timing, you can just right-click him down. You hit that level 2 mark with a Fiery Soul, just spam out the wave, get some harassment off, and Krish can't really do much. He does have the eventual threat of Avalanche Toss. That's going to take a few levels, and until then, Bob's going to feel comfy. Rune control is important for both sides. We'll see who commits the early supports. That does give us some time. Oh.
In trouble. Oh, Bob! He went back in. He didn't run deeper. So Palos at least gets a kill onto Bok before he dies. Carlo's still able to pick up the bristleback for the 2nd time this game, so I suppose as TNT you're probably going to be satisfied with that. But certainly felt like Bok did not really need to die there.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving a little bit of EXP towards Palos that he really shouldn't have. Carlo does hit level 3 though, and they're going to go on to Vincenzo.
But they are. Carlo able to get another kill here on this Thornbreaker, his 2nd of the game, and well, TNT, they are certainly just continuing with the aggression up at top lane.
It's just double stuns. You want to jump that squishy Pugna, you want to punish the bristleback before it gets too tanky. He does opt for level 2 quilts rather than the bristleback, so can be more aggressive here, but the stuns will be able to cut him off. No mana on Carlo to kind of hammer away, and Palos is going to go for a bit of chase, but does get cut off by tree line. not going to be able to fully commit. Does buy out the Ring of Health. So he is getting more durable here, Mike. Going to be harder to look for that burst onto Palos. And this is the point where maybe TNC should start to reconsider that aggression, because the Bristleback can go pretty far deep now.
Yeah, and you've got the level 1 Bristleback up, so chances are he's not going to be too scared to do so. And John, while we have a chance down at bot lane, in fact, never mind that, because mid lane, Krish does end up going down solo to Bob, so Bob able to pick up his first kill of the game here on the leader.
I think you're really wrong.
But I suppose, back down to the bot lane, we've got this Silencer Medusa lane here by TNC against Tino on the Timber, and of course as I look away, Palos ends up going down as well. But John, talk to me about the bot lane quickly before another kill happens.
Probably one of the more passive lanes. Like, you've got Timbersaw up against Silencer. Arcane Curse can make it tough for Tino to be aggressive. Yoa should just be free to farm, and he is. Not too much that Shanks can really do on the Enigma except just jungle and get up his own gold. And they're not really punishing that, so that's to the benefit of Execration. Tino is still finding solo EXP, getting the build up, not really slowing down the Medusa, but as soon as you hit some level spikes on the Tim, you can kind of just connect with your Lina and maybe threaten with the Enigma and kind of run from there. So as long as Tino doesn't die, it feels safe. If he does get under threat, that's where things get dicey, but you are surrendering a lot of farm onto Yoa, and he can flash farm a lot faster than potentially the Bristle. He can keep up on the Bristleback, it's just not as quick.
For a bit of an aggression here onto Vincenzo. He's going to get punished with some damage, but he's going to be fine to back himself out. It's very hard, right? Because at this stage, you want to keep the aggression going, but you've also got to be careful not to give too much away, though. As I say that, Palos again in danger. Is going to drop, and Wakalo, now he's got the urn charges up. That's something he'd really wanted, because now he can go for solo pickoffs on this Pugna.
Yeah, it's going to be really easy to start melting through that squishy Pugna, even the Bristleback again. Going for a more offensive build here, Mike, by level 4. 1-2-1. Only still the one level in the Bristleback. That damage reduction is just not enough to keep him safe. And the damage output of the Venge and the Dawnbreaker is still high. It's back to a physical sort of lane. Like you mentioned with a Weaver last time around. Wave of Terror plus that Starbreaker, the damage gets amped up, and it's really easy to run down the Bristle still. So Alice has to be a bit cautious. Again, opts for the Quilt Spray, so still looking to be offensive. 5-2 start, looking strong for TNC. The mid lane for looking strong for Execration. The mid lane for Execration is going well. The kills are there for TNC. They are starting to keep everything locked in.
Carlo does pick up his first solo kill there onto Vincenzo. But this Pugna's going to have a very hard time during this lane now. Speaking of hard time, you look back at Shanks on this Enigma. He was being chased down by Mavis earlier on and just went that darn low. Still sticking around here on the Enigma, just trying to keep that farm going in the jungle, but it's such a greedy style of draft here from Execration. I suppose with the Timber, you don't really need to have this Enigma there anyway. It does mean Yoe is able to freely farm up on the Deucer though, not having the Enigma there to deny off all the creeps with the Eidolons. But they are going to try and apply that pressure now. Bob is rotated on the Lina. Mavis is going to break off the rotation, however. He might die for this, but he's going to protect Yoe on the Medusa. Yoe does even show up, and oh, Mavis! Nice sidestep.
Yeah, Bob misses out. Hesitated in a couple of right clicks, hesitated on the Laguna toss out. Does get punished for it, so some time wasted from Execration. Palos is all alone once more up top.
He is, and he's going to be chased down. Palos going to try and tank through it, but eventually going to drop. Bob, or rather Bok and Carlo once again getting so aggressive as Yoa now. Find Shanks in the jungle, and Bob, he still can't pick off Mavis.
They can't find Mavis. They apply a little bit of pressure onto Yoa. Can't kill him off either. And TNC, again, off to a really strong start. Execration. Only lane that went well for them is Bob's mid. He is racking up the gold. He is their main win condition. Palos kind of the secondary scorer. And Palos, despite all the deaths, is still up there in net worth. So still finding the gold on. Bristol should find that Vanguard timing relatively soon. But you do worry about how much TNC is able to find. They're getting the early levels up. They're getting a lot of gold out onto Bok, who is going to run the Axe. And once that's up, it's just easy to commit every single time. Vincenzo can't really do much anymore on the Pugna. He does opt for a 2-0-1 build. So a little bit more damage focus, but Palos
in trouble again. Krish, Avalanche Toss is there, but they won't have the damage without Carlo to back him up. Carlo very low on mana right now. Can't throw any spells out, but does get the bottle out from Krish. Now certainly trying to make sure this Bristleback cannot take off this game. Carlos, he does have the Vanguard up, but he is still very susceptible to dying. There's now mid lane. Bob might be susceptible. Krish trying to move in for an avalanche. There is a double damage rune there, and Bob is going to try and go for this. He does pick it up, but it's maybe just going to cost him his own life. And it will. Krish does manage to reach with the avalanche. TNC, they will continue this crazy aggression.
It's very reminiscent of how Game 2 went. Much slower start for Execration, but at the same time, they don't have that stable win condition with Palas. It's a Bristleback trying to scale up. They do at least have a very free lane for Tino. They managed to push into bot with the Enigma around, so they get the first objective of the game. And they're going to need to try to buy some space out now with Tino. With a strong start on the Timb, need to force some attention onto him, but look at TNC, they just keep invading that top jungle.
Once again, going to be targeted, but they don't have the damage. Still, they do go for a Solar Guardian, but it's going to be a little bit off the mark. It won't matter though. Palos is going to drop, and it almost looked like Krish just wasn't on the same page with Carlo there. Not believing the Solar Guardian was incoming, but Carlo once again doing some fantastic work on this Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, he just finds the opening. They always use that threat of Solar Guardian really well, going for the aggression, knowing that they can always drag another hero in with some sustain, some damage, and a good stun. And Execration just don't have a counterplay. Their supports are a lot less active. You've got Enigma programs who do it. They just can't work the map as well. Your Timbersaw can maybe start to look for some angles once this full Helm of Hood of Defiance is up. But even then, it just feels like TNC's lineup can deal with that rather well, and they're stalling out very nicely here for Yoe and for Bach. Like the Ags on bench is going to be huge. Your Medusa, still #1 in net worth as well, going for the Manta, as we tend to see. And Execration just sharing a jungle. They're all clumped up top. Bob and Palos trying to farm up. This is not ideal. This is slowing down both cores farm, and just look at TNC running forward.
Idiot core hit is going to drop the Pugna. Not able to survive the onslaught of Krish. Execration, I mean, it's still doing a great job in terms of net worth. The net worth lead is somehow still in their favor, even if they are 9 kills down right now in comparison to TNC, but eventually this aggression might end up paying off, as now Krish, Invis rune up, going to try and chase into the triangle, but not confident that there's no detection just laying around. Krish will show himself now and just take all the Eidolons instead. I wonder if Execration are panicked at all.
I don't think it's time to fully panic yet, but it is a rougher start. Like, you have some confidence in the scaling of your Lina, and to the extent of the presence of your Bristleback and Tim, they will get tankier as the game goes on. I think that's what you're going to have to rely on. Just hit some good mid-game timings. Maybe by the 15-minute mark, have a couple of durability items up. Get some levels on Shanks. This Enigma's been a good start, despite the
Bob. He gets caught out this time. Krish very, very happy. Getting the voice lines out. The Avalanche Toss combo with the last word just proving to be more than enough to catch out the Lina. Execration is nowhere near ready to fight, but at least they can take down Mavis. It's not a great trade, but it's something.
Something at least going out the way of Tino, who does have that full Hood of Defiance up, so he's pretty tanky up front. I think for Execration, I'm not sure what timing they're going to be waiting for here. Maybe the BKB on Bob will allow them to play a little bit faster. Palos already has his Vanguard up. It does feel like some of those durability items Execration might need are already up here, Mike. So they could try to make some plays. It's just that the blink timing of Krish is way too fast. Like, blink Brown Boots bottle. Just been working the map, not soaking any farm, giving all the space in the world to Yoe and to Bach to get their own cores going. And Execration just aren't able to capitalize. Again, going back to their draft, I guess it's because your supports are just so passive. It's Pugna, it's Enigma. What real kill threat do you have with these two running around? Not much. The big one's really on Bob to get the angle, and he's just not ready. He has Brown Boots, a Null, Soul Ring going into BKB. It's just not ready for the Lina yet.
Certainly not. Very, very tough times here for Bob. TNC, they have slowed down a little bit, just trying to get those core items up. Because you really want the Venge Ags up before you keep going. We are only 12.5 minutes in, but it seems like those Ags are going to be very quick timing here for Bok. Only needs 2 more components of that, just about 1.5k gold to have the full Aghanim Scepter. Meanwhile, Shanks, you look on that Enigma just trying to farm up the Wraith Pact. It does also almost have that. It's been farming the jungle as his pos for Enigma. That isn't going to allow him the greatest black holes, and against the Global Silence, it's going to be very hard to land one in the first place, but still gives you a way of kind of reducing the damage and allowing Palos to just kind of run them down on the side of TNC. So again, very patient game here for Execration. TNC, they might be the first aggressors once again. I mean, they're looking at that mid-tier 1 tower now. You'll see Yoe show up to get a bit of chip damage off. We'll see if Execration can slow this down. That Krish, gonna make the jump in. Bob has been caught out. Solar Guardian is there, but he tossed him out of the Solar Guardian. It just won't matter. Spirit Vessel was there in time by Carlo, but now the team fight really breaks out. Palos, he's going to try and rush on to the Dawnbreaker, but they swap back in. Tino on the Timbersaw, getting stunned up into a double stun. Palos still in trouble. Stone Gaze is there. It slows them down as Palos is just ticking out. The Spirit Vessel, the tree toss, it's not going to land, but Palos, he might just barely survive, and will. But I can't say the same for this tier 1 mid tower.
They force a lot out from Execration. They don't find too many kills here on TNC, only the one on the Lina, but they get the room they need to get that shove in, start to open up the map. And for Execration, the fight just doesn't line up. Like, their big stun is Black Hole and Light Strike Array. Holding heroes down in the middle of these fights isn't easy, and as we already mentioned here, Mike, it's not the best game for an Enigma to get that Black Hole. There's Global Silence, there's Stone Gaze, there's a lot of early stuns that don't that, you know, they're going to need a BKB for. And even if Shanks gets a BKB swap down the line, you can also get the Magic Missile Piercing Spell immunity as well at level 25 here for Bach. It just means that Execration have no way of lining up for these kills. Unless Bob gets a good LSA, it doesn't feel like you'll find it. So a lot of reliance on Bob's Lina, who might get caught out once more if he's not careful.
May, Krish, again, nice initiation with the Avalanche and the toss combination into the Starbreaker. Bob, he's going to try to go for a run. Carlo actually didn't have the Celestial Hammer, so they can't get it done yet. Carlo's going to go for a run, and Krish, he will back off as well. They throw the hammer out in the end, but it's not going to be enough though. Krish jumps in again, does get the Avalanche toss, but can he get his way out? No TP available. He'll use the Tumbler's Toy and has a blink up in 5. But he's in big trouble. Nether Blast is going to connect. Midnight Pulse is there. Krish forced to try and fight back with the Avalanche toss. Does do so. But Bob gets the tips out. Krish, he'll put the hand up, but he is almost certainly just going to die. And so they do finally punish for this aggression from this Tiny.
Yeah, just a bit far forth from Krish, going for that kill onto Bob. That does keep Bob down bottom network core. So I don't think you mind too much, despite sacrificing some of your Tiny's farm. You are preventing Bob from hitting that snowball start, while still buying space out for your more important heroes. Yoa gets the farm, Bach, Ags is flying out, and that's the time you really need. Just stall out for the Deuce's 20-minute time, get the Venge Ags up, start running around with that next. For Execration, in a way, Tino and Palos are keeping up on that Timbersaw and Bristle. They might find Carlo.
Well, they won't. The TP was there from Mavis, and that's enough to scare them off for now, though not for long, as Carlo is still being chased down here by Palos, but it does seem like they're going to let this one go. Execration, they might have had a good fight just taking out Krish and Carlo earlier, but you don't want to overextend quite yet. Krish, he's on the way again. Blink up in 1, so he could make the jump in, but who does he aim? He sees Vincenzo, but instead he wants the Enigma with the toss back right back towards Bach. They do have help incoming, but they are going to lose Shanks immediately. Now Tino makes the jump in. Global Silence is there. They're onto the Bristleback. They really want this kill as Palos is going to try to run away, but Krish, he's got the toss back. A 1-for-2 trade. They'll even find the remnant of the bench as Bob does get jumped, but pops his BKB in time. He's going to be alright. It's still a positive team fight once again for TNC. I suppose at least they got the Bach Venge.
They got the Venge. They were forced to pop their BKB on Bob to get that done. You're starting to see some of that durability come in. It takes a little bit longer to kill off that Bristle and the Timb, but not quite long enough. And Yoa just swings by, grabs a casual kill. He is still building up, does have the Manta, and is working to what looks to be perhaps a BKB on our Dusa. Not the most standard build, but is wanting to play with the timing of his team. Execration, again, all things considered, are keeping themselves in the game. 1K net for lead still stands down as well.
Mid lane, magic missiles there. Krish again with the initiation, not going for the toss. In fact, he's on cooldown. Instead, they're going to the bristleback. Palos still in trouble, but he is going to be able to back up. So instead, they'll go after Shanks, but he has the black hole and he does get it in time. Right before the Starbreaker, but he's still going to drop his block. Keeps the fight going. In comes Tino. He melts Krish and Mavis. Maybe they can take this fight, Execration. They are holding on to Palos. Carlo on his way out, and it seems as though Tino joins the fight at the exact right moment and just kind of wipes out the side of TNC.
It drags the lead all the way back to Execration. 3-for-1 trade, 3K lead now for Execration as they start to find their openings. You can see overcommitting a bit. The Dragon Yoe doesn't quite pop the Stone Gaze, still finds at least a couple kills, but not quite enough. And Execration now can rip through. Using that tankiness of Tino. Spirit Vessel not quite enough to hold him back. And this is what Execration needs to do. They need to keep playing this aggressive. They need to find their counter fights before Yoe is all fully geared up. He does switch towards the Scotty now. So switching away from whatever he was trying to queue up earlier. And just going for the stats play. Still have around, looking like now, maybe around 23 minutes when he'll find that. Execration need to keep playing before that time. Once the Scotty's up, that tankiness of the Bristle, that tankiness of the Timbersaw kind of disappear. And the Deuce starts to take over the game. So let's see if the openings present itself for Execration. Again, keeping themselves up. Bob, though.
In trouble. He's going to try for the BKB TP play, but Bok is going to have the vision thanks to Carlo. And, well, Bob, he's been caught in that area quite a few times now. Tough going here for Execration as this laner is just not able to transition into a late game kind of course so far. Mind you, we are in the mid game, but his farm is nothing to write home about, that's for sure. And while all this is happening, Yoe, he's getting bigger and bigger, John. I have Scotty almost up on this Medusa. It's scary times very soon for Execration.
Timing's being met by Yoe. It's around that time we always see from Medusa, who has a free game, around 20 to 22 minutes when we see that full Scotty along with Manta style. That's when the stats just get a little bit too much. You are relying on that Lena to kind of provide you the right click. Bristol can kind of do it in a prolonged fight. It does take a while. TNC not resting here. We'll go for another smoke play. They've got the global sounds ready. No Solar Guardian yet. They should be able to get the jump here.
They should. Palos gonna back off. Tino. Krish also there. Tino is going to be the target if they do get the swap off. Immediate avalanche, immediate spirit vessel, and immediate toss. Tino, he can't sustain that much damage. The Wraith Pack coming in, it just didn't prove to be enough. At least there is a blink up now on Shanks, so he does have some initiation. Maybe he can catch them off guard here on the Enigma.
And the Black Hole's still on cooldown for about half a minute, so the timing for that defense just doesn't quite line up. They can stall out with a fortify, or at least buying some more time for that threat to come back in. But Yoe is not this way. They pulled Scotty up, 21-15. Very tanky now on that Medusa, and bursting her down, it just feels tough. You have to get a good stack of Quilts and Nasal Goo on. You have to have your Lena on top. Maybe even expecting the Black Hole if Shanks can somehow find the angle once more. And I just don't know if you have enough to handle Medusa. She has a lot of saves. There's Global Sounds to stop the Black Hole for her. It's always the Solar Guardian to heal her up. Los is just playing tag in that bot jungle. Still a bit too tanky for just the two supports. And Krish was on the hunt up top looking for Shanks. Not quite able to find it. So Execration doing a good job of dodging. But still waiting for more. Like Lotus Orb on Tino next. Ags up for Palos next. And Bob still trying for his Silver Edge. Does have travels up the least. TR starting to meet some of those items you need on these heroes to scale. I do worry. I mean, Bok has his ad chart up. So you've got the bouncing magic missiles. That's going to disrupt the fights in such big ways. Like, combine that with the avalanche toss, with the Starbreaker, it's just way too much control. Whereas for Execration, it still boils back to that same issue. You only really have LSA and Black Hole and Malefice as your stuns, and that just doesn't compare to the amount of control TNC has.
Certainly doesn't, TNC. Oh, are they going to find another? They avoid the Pugna. Instead, they might run into Palos. Not Palos again. He's got no help around him here, John. TNC, they just return to the same place and they find another great pickoff.
Yeah, they just read the movements of Execration, always finding something down bot.
Oh boy, Krish, very good with these initiations. Another avalanche, another toss onto Vincenzo, and another kill for the Tiny. The net worth lead somehow still the way of Execration, but that's basically because all the net worth on TNC is on Yoe. That's how you want it anyway. You're more than happy for this Medusa to have all the farm on your team. And you might have to start thinking about Roshan very soon as TNC.
Yeah, you've got the opening there if you want to. There's always sort of the threat of black hole from Shanks, but again, Global Silence, Stone Gates can kind of work that out for you. And you are still just working the map here, trying to take over that top jungle, some good wards to defend, so Tino can back off in the nick of time. And just keeping our Alder lane shoved in. Execration still doing a pretty decent job of just farming elsewhere. Shanks still holding that bot lane. They're going to have to clump up for that defense on mid. No fortified left. And have to put their bodies forward for it.
Sun out. Not sure about this team fight. Tino, he is though. He'll move in. Yoe will start moving onto the Bristle. They've got the double stun going. Keep in mind, Shanks still has that blink black hole available. Just looking for that right moment as Yoe still trying to move away. Does go into the vent with Bob. He has the remnant. Swap back onto Bob. They found the Lena. That's a big target. In fact, the Bristle now dropping way too low. Where's the black hole? It's not coming out yet. Shanks being very patient. And ultimately, it'll never come out. But Execration, they seem satisfied with just the Venge kill. That's going to be enough for them. TNC are the ones that need to try and find a trade, and well, they're not going to get it this time around.
Sacrifice Bach. I don't know if that's really enough for Execration to be really happy. I mean, it's a Venge. It kind of plays sacrificial at this point. I'm sure Bach doesn't mind dying and keeping his remnant alive. They are still trying to rotate here in Execration, knowing that they're a man down on TNC, but Krish is still a little bit too far. Has managed to bail out before Clouds comes in. You can see the threat of the Bristle now. They're with the Ags up, spamming that this nasal goo does make it pretty tough to run away and disengage, and the minus armor does stack up really, really fast with that Ags up and running. So they know they can't just pile onto the Bristle no longer.
Krish, this will be a big one. He can't make KBTP. Sure, oh wait, Global Silence. Never mind, he can. No BKB up on Shanks. I mean, no way to really get rid of it apart from a Lotus Orb there or a BKB. And Shanks not going to be able to black hole. So I guess you force the Global Silence, but that's about all you're getting. Krish is still able to get himself out.
And you don't mind that too much in TNC. Again, you have a lot of ways of stopping the black hole anyway, as long as Bach keeps himself away from the black hole. The swap's always there. The Venge missile for bounce is always there, while that BKB is not quite up on Shanks. And you don't mind sacrificing that to save your core. Yoe now, hitting that level 20 mark, has a +2 second Stone Gaze duration, so even more control in the middle of these fights for the Dusa. As they will start to dip into the Roshan. Get that damage off, getting some of the D wards off as well. Black hole threat is there from Shanks, so if they work an angle out, it could be good, but there are wards here from TNC.
Bob, nice swap back, does find the Bristle. Carlos still feeling confident. In fact, Bob does move in. Krish, he's gonna melt. Execration now. They now have the Roshan open up to them. Bob, he's still around to scout out. Another magic missile to fly through, but Roshan is dropping low. Carlos keeping up the nasal goo with the second Scepter. Roshan is still dropping. TNC, they've missed their timing now, and Carlos is just going to rush onto them. Bob might just melt for the first life. Onto the Medusa they go. It's a much harder target, but Yoe eventually does get caught out. Shanks with a great black hole. Solar Guardian is there, but now the double light strike array from Bob. Yoe out of mana, out of life, and is just dead. Oh boy. It happens that quickly, Jonathan.
God.
Mavis to drop. No buyback available on Yoe. They might be able to force high ground here, Execration.
Yeah, they've got to work through a couple of tier 2s first, but they've got the time, they've got the Aegis, and they get the lineup. Shanks with a great black hole. The patience has been paying off from him. He's had a couple of good black bolts already. And TNC just fragmented once more. They had the Solar Guardian cancel, just allowed it to pump up. Yoa could not pop his Stone Gaze fast enough. They get punished. Onto the high ground they go here. With on Execration's end, they've got the Nether Blast as well, along with the Eidolons. And the damage coming through from Bob. You've got to find a defense angle. Maybe if they get a good swap out, that could be good. So it's going to be tough to find the angle without their Medusa up to deal some damage.
Mid-Rax going down. They do get the mid-Rax. First Rax to go down here. Execration able to take it, and now suddenly 9k ahead of TNC Predator. And that's the thing, like we just talked about it 5 minutes ago. All the farm is on Yoe. Problem is, if Yoe gets caught out and gets taken down, and all it takes is one good black hole, suddenly you're in big, big trouble.
Yeah, and the threat of black hole is always there. TNC, it feels like the precision has just been slipping up. They will go for an offensive smoke now, trying to fight against that Aegis, but the side of Execration back off in the nick of time, so not in the risk here, not risking anything. They do at least spot out Tino under the ward, but he's way far across. And it doesn't look like TNC will find much for the smoke. Take back their outpost, get a forward ward on the bot jungle. That's about it. For Yoe, does have a full Silver Edge up, going for the MKB next. Should have a little bit more coming through from Medusa with that, but Bob is becoming a massive threat now. Silver Edge up with his BKB, damage output of Lina. This is the point where it does feel pretty overwhelming. Attack range is pretty damn high as well. So you can kind of reach into that Medusa no problems, and we need to see TNC kind of work together as a team. They've been very good at the pickoffs. The massive team fights now, with the BKB threat on Shanks as well. They need to be patient with how to use their spells and kind of ensure that not more than two of them get caught in that black hole.
One tower is going to go down. Execration in the driver's seat. 13k net worth, in fact, now going their way. It's just about getting that Global Silence on cooldown, and suddenly you're in big, big trouble. Look, TNC need that Global Silence available to cancel these black holes off. Now Carlo being chased down by Bok, and with the Laguna, he's going to have more than enough to take him out. Another great kill here for Execration. They might be able to go for that top tier 2 tower now. And quite frankly, it doesn't feel like TNT are going to want to fight back. They're probably just going to let this go down for free. Instead, they'll try to trade with the bottom tier 2 tower. But Execration, they may force a fight.
Yeah, they're more than willing to just go for the objective. They know they melt a lot faster. TNC forced to back off and start to hold high ground. Execration looking to play it a little bit safe, not really pushing the envelope too hard, just working the map, getting their network advantage lined up. Maybe just waiting for, say, a full Scotty up and Bob on the way. Shivas for Tino getting built up. And Palet's already looking pretty darn good on that crystal. Has the full AC coming in for him. So it can be even tankier up front. It doesn't feel like you have the burst damage any longer on TNC to handle the Bristle and the Timbersaw. The Lotus Orb has been doing a great job as well on Tino to protect whoever is getting jumped on first. And for TNC, again, they really shined when they were finding these single target pickoffs. Look at Execration, they're just constantly clumped up. They're not giving those openings out anymore.
No, they certainly are not, John. They're not giving that opening away whatsoever. Excuse me, did have to alt-tab there for a second, but still, again, Execration in control of this game. Still have quite a bit of time. Oh, never mind, they don't. 5 seconds on the Aegis. Maybe have to wait for the next one. Maybe just go for a supply smoke anyway. You know TNT are timing the Aegis right now, so you could definitely force a smoke here if you want. Vincenzo does hold 2 right now, but they're going to pop it. Not yet. Still respecting TNC's draft. But eventually, they'll group up as 5. They've got everything up. They want to force a smoke. No secondary life this time on Bob. They are heavily reliant on Shanks landing a very nice black hole as Bob. He's going to find Bok. Does land the Light Striker range. They want to take down both his lives immediately as Bok is trying to swap around and make it hard for them, but he's lost his first life. A nice start for Execration as the Stone Gaze is going to be caught by Yoy, but they'll wait out. Krish in the meantime with an avalanche toss, but doesn't really land on much. So just keep going. Tino Is there onto bot? That'll be the secondary life. The Remnant's gone. It's Krish trying to run, but surely has no way out of this. Bob hands the tips over. Krish is going to drop on the Tiny. And that'll be 2 down for TNC. So at least they get rid of Yoe. Well, Yoe, oh, look at that, Bob. He drops the question mark.
You bounce back, and Bob's feeling it. You know, we'll always talk about Bob being a make or break sort of player. Had a bit of a slower start, does bounce back in, and he wants to show off a bit. TNC, the good news for them, as you mentioned, Yoe does get to bail out. They hold on to Global Silence, so they're going to have that tool for the high ground defense. Side of Execration, more than happy with the kills they've found. As you mentioned, they could just wait out the next Roche, no pressure there. There is still that bot tier 2 tower standing from TNC sensor. Execration probably will want to get some damage in on that. Open up the threat for mega creeps and the lines we've drawn across the map. We'll see if they do want to commit there on Execration. I believe that was probably Carlo drawing the line to not cross that area because they don't have control. And the map is pretty dark right now for the side of TNC. They have that 1 forward board on the bot jungle. Doesn't really achieve much. They have no vision on their triangle, no vision in the forward part of their jungle. So finding some safe farm now for Deuces, a tough call. And you are seeing Yoe actually opting to queue up a Revenant's Brooch. So having some magic damage on hand to go through the durability, I suppose, of the Timbersaw and the Bristle is the name of the game, as they will go for a smoke play now as well.
Try another smoke out. TNC this time around going to be the aggressors. Everything's still available here for Execration. The Krish, immediate jump in onto the Timber with the Solar Guardian. Tino is surely going to drop and does. A great team fight start, at the very least, for TNC. They aren't going to find anything else. They'll accept the Tino kill, and that'll be enough. Everybody else from Execration do back off, and in fact, Palos, but in the meantime, he's still going to find a top of bot tier 2 tower, and does still back off in time.
Bright and breezy.
Yeah, they're trying to keep chase on TNC. Might get punished. Bob does have that silver edge up here.
Bob. I'm gonna make the jump in. Again, they are missing Tino. Big part of the draft here for Execration. A lot of their damage right now as well. There's Palos. Actually found Carlo down at the bot lane. Palos gonna pick up another one. Again, Execration, they aren't gonna force a push. I think they'll be waiting for the next Roshan at the least. But now they've got a BKB up on Palos. Happy days for the Bristleback. Much harder to slow him down now. And well, Roshan's up in 35, which is perfect timing for Tino. They might rush right to the pit.
Yeah, the counterplay for TNC is pretty tough to pull off there. You're gonna need to see some big swaps out from Bach, some well-placed Solar Guardians along with a good Stone Gaze out from Yoe. And standing in the middle of Execration's damage is pretty tough for the Deuce now. Trying to work onto a Butterfly next, we've seen Yoe kind of switch around. The Arcane build should have it flying in now. So some evasion on hand, a little bit more damage coming through as well. That might help the cause up against something like Bob's right clicks. Let's see if that's going to be enough. Execration still holding on to the 19k lead. We're seeing quite the swing there. Look at that graph, Mike, from a nice 73% win rate, or win probability for TNC, all the way to 80% now for Execration. Just managed to hold on and find the conditions.
That is a crazy graph right there. TNC, they won't be happy seeing that. Roshan, Aegis and Shards going to go the way of Execration. So they'll give both the way of Bob, it seems. In fact, no, who got the Shards?
Palos.
Palos took the Shards, okay.
Yep. Hairball out. Free quill stacks already coming out and nasal goo, so a great way to just instantly get a slow, instantly get some blink cancels and run someone down if you're not careful on TNC sand. The high ground now of definite possibility for Execration with everything they have on hand. For TNC, I mean, they've got Global Sounds to still cancel Black Hole. They've got the Stone Gaze. They've still got some great presence coming through from Carlo with the Solar Guardian. It just doesn't feel like it's enough. Despite all this farm on Yoe, despite him being #1 in net worth, Ardusa isn't able to do as much as you'd probably expect here.
Tino, very aggressive TP into the outpost, but nobody's going to see him doing so. TNC holding the high ground. We have a Medusa after all. Yoe has switched up that build, by the way. He is going back for a Daedalus instead. Palos. Show himself. I swap in. Bok with a great initiation. There's no Aegis up on Palos, but he's going to keep going anyway. Onto the Vengeful Spirit. They'll take down Bok. He's still got the Remnant up. Tino, though, with an aggressive jump in. Chains out. Looking for another target. Is going to go right after Yoe as they do break him up, but it's not going to matter. Tino, he'll just keep going for more. Really went on a hold back like Medusa. And they do. Enough that they'll get the top tier 3 tower. Execration. They'll keep going for more now. Nothing to hold them back. It'll be the range rats gone very soon. Spock, the remnant, does get taken out. He does have buyback though. That's not going to save the top racks, however. It is gone. Execration, they'll buy back now on TNC, trying to get that bench working. Toss back though is not going to be onto Palos. So the bristleback is fine. Instead they'll swap back Bob on the lean up, and Shanks, he'll jump in with a black hole. Global silence. It is going to be cancelling it straight away. So Bob, he is going to lose his first life. There's your refresh orb coming out. Shanks, perfect timing, has another one. Will jump in surely. Not quite yet. Instead Palos, he'll get the job done himself. Bok is gone again. Yoe trapped up on the Medusa, dropping way too down low and is dead. No buyback available. Execration. They may have pulled off the victory here. What does that mean, Jonathan?
It's fine, Lottie. It's fine, Idol. It's fine.
Well, at least Palos offering his counseling services here to TNC. As Bok going to be chased down again. Carlo getting all the tips here. Even though Carlo has not said a word, Krish, he's the one who's been talking and the one getting punished as Shanks will drop a black hole, catching all of them once again. Onto the T4s they go. Krish, he has fought back. Maybe they can find Bob a second time, and they will. He does have buyback, but they've got the mega creeps up. Nothing to really be afraid of here for Execration. TNC, they will hold on. But this is when you say happy death, John. Happy death.
Yep. Palos is saying, it looks like I spoke too early. Sorry, Idol. Carlo. Sorry, Carlo. Carlo said, yeah. Ha 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 ha. Tip out. And, you know, even if this is Mega Creeps, you've got the Tiny and Medusa. You can kind of clear this out relatively well with these heroes. There is still a threat to push back. If Execration kind of get too aggressive and too gun-happy, there is room for TNC to maybe find something. It's Dota 2. Anything can happen if you throw hard enough. You have to be a bit cautious for Execration.
I mean, you talk about anything happening right now. John Shanks, he's been caught out. Palos, he's getting aggressive, but he does have to be somewhat cautious. Palos, no! You can't do this after you spoke, Palos. Another swap out from Bok. Palos is in trouble. BKB will wear off very, very soon. Another stun out. Krish, he's got him. Okay, he's got no buyback. He's got no buyback.
Why?
Things have to calm down for Execration.
Why would they do this? They were winning. I mean, if the 4v5 is somewhat approachable, you don't have the back-to-back black holes just yet, unfortunately. And again, just look at the damage coming from Yoe. He can still make work of these objectives. It still looks good for Execration, but they have to work their angles, because now, without the threat of black hole, the stuns.
Oh boy. There goes another one, John. Vincenzo is down. Will commit his own buyback. Yoe will keep going for the tier 3 tower, but it looks like that's going to be enough for him. He won't try to dive into the tier 4s or the Ancient or anything like that. They are going to back their way out of there. It's an Execration. They really just lose a tier 2 mid and a tier 3 mid. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but I think they've got to be very cautious about jumping in that aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, look at Yoe. He's queuing up the Divine Rapier, has the Sacred Relic up, 400 gold away from the Demon Edge. So, you know what? If this Dusa gets the Divine and somehow keeps positioning steady, that's when things get really scary for Execration. Like, they could have just played it safe. They could have not given some bounce back gold to the side of TNC, but now Dusa Rapier, that could make all the difference here, Mike.
TNC gonna back off. Again, they can't really afford to die right now here, TNC. Chase on. They can't see them though. TNC, they should have enough time to get that Divine Rapier up for Yoe. Tino is still chasing forward. Is this too aggressive? We'll find out soon. Tino, he's going to have to tank through Yoe's damage, but he has a very long chain available. He'll be fine. Divine Rapier is now up, but Yoe wants to get to the high ground. Both may get caught out. Oh, in fact, they both got caught out. Krish forced to jump in again. Midnight Pulse is down. Black Hole can't come out yet. The Global Silence was there in time as they will go back in onto the Bristleback. Palos is gone. Shanks might drop here, though he will just blink out. He's still got that Black Hole available. Carlo, he's going to be alright. Not really, though. Bob has a huge range. Is going to take him down. Alright, Execration. Can they finish the game here, John? Or has Palos gone too far again?
They take the tier 4s, so it's pretty tight for TNC. Divine Rapier Dusa, though, is a turret that can just clear everything. It doesn't matter Mega Creeps or not. It's going to be able to work against it. Shanks does have the one BKB Black Hole, and there's no Global Silence, there's no Stone Gaze. And that could be their opening here. They find a good angle on Shanks. That could spell the end of the game.
Ancient is exposed. Yo, we're going to jump in. Black Hole is there. Shanks, he'll hold him down on the Dusa. He's still got the Divine Rapier, and they do clip off the Ancient, so they are going to try and fight back, but they're losing too much mana on this Dusa. Still in the Midnight Pulse. Yo, we're about to drop in is gone. Right. That's it. GG's called. They've had enough. Execration, they have not thrown this game. And Bob says, nice game. There you go.
Yeah. He says, nice game. He was handing out the tips. He gave it a question mark. He was feeling himself there, Bob. But Execration, let me tell you, that was a bit shaky. Early game once more looked really good for TNC. But Execration managed to hold out, build up into win conditions, get the farm they need. And TNC, again, just lose some momentum. Lose the swing. They don't manage to find any more objectives while they're ahead. And they give the room for Execration to bounce back in. Now, Execration did try to dive in a little bit too much. They gave that Divine to Yoe, but again, when it came down to executing on that defense, they got a bit too scattered on that triangle, forcing the fight out there. Carlo dropping and not able to find a way in gave Execration that key to rip through the tier 4s and just end that game.
That it did, John. With that, of course, we are going to have to head on to our next series of the night. Of course, congrats to Execration for the 2-1 victory. We are going to have Lil Gun against Summit Gaming, I believe, coming out for our second best of 3 here between those two teams. So we are going to head off to a short 15-20 minute break. Right after that break, of course, we'll be back with our second series of the night between Summit Gaming and Lil Gun. We'll see you then.